Hey guys, welcome back. It's probably been a week or probably a couple weeks since I posted anything. Uh, been busy with work and all that good stuff that goes with that. Uh, I've got a stack of some goodies here. It's been accumulating for a while, and comics, books, some other stuff. Uh, so you're gonna get a little, going to get a little bit of everything. Okay, first I got some Planet of the Ape goodies. You guys that follow me know I'm a big fan of the apes. Uh, this first thing I actually found on eBay, and I'm not on eBay a whole lot anymore, uh, but I thought this was kind of neat. And one day I would like to have a complete set of these. I've got a few, but I thought this one was pretty cool. This is actually the first. This is card number one from the first Planet of the Apes trading card series. There are 44 in all, and this is card number one. That kind of shows Taylor and Landon and Dodge inside the spaceship after it crashed in the lake, and they're trying to get out. So, really kind of happy to have this one. And more ape stuff. I've watched all the apes movies and the TV shows and the animated series and everything, but I didn't have a copy of the last movie they made, The War for the Planet of the Apes. So I got it on Blu-ray. Thought it was a pretty good movie. I thought all three of these or reimaginings were pretty good. Nothing will ever match the original five for me, but this one was a really good movie. So happy to have that in collection. And here we have a book called Death on the Planet of the Apes, and this is by Andrew E.C. Gaska, and he's a big Apes fan and a pretty good author. Little background. This is the book. There's another book I've shown a while back that kind of goes along with this, but here's this is like the second one that he's come out with. Now the first one was called Conspiracy of the Planet of the Apes, and this one was really cool because it's got a painted cover by Steranko, and one of the last comic shows I was at, I got him to sign this one to me, Jim Steranko, and it's got a lot of cool illustrations, by different artists, comic artists and whatnot. Just a lot of cool stuff. Anyway, these books are kind of like what happened behind the scenes. Like if you watch the Planet of the Apes movie, this kind of tells what happened to Landon, the guy that got lobotomized. Kind of tells you what happened to the spaceship after it sunk and how they got it out. How Dr. Milo, who shows up in the third film, escaped. How they find the ship and how he repairs it and all that kind of stuff. And kind of goes behind the scenes of the first movie in a story form. So it's really, really good book. And just found this one. This was kind of behind the scenes of Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And it goes back and kind of goes into this backstory of Taylor a little bit more, him and his family. Lieutenant Stewart, who you saw died in the glass. The air leak got to her and she died in her sleep. It's got a lot of stuff about them training for the mission, and a lot of stuff about James Franciscus's character Brent and his captain Maddox. And haven't really got to read a whole lot of it, just getting into this one. But for Apes fans and lovers of the Apes movies, these are awesome. So highly recommend those. Okay, another issue of Back Issue. And this one features 80s DC pre-crisis miniseries. Got all kinds of good stuff. Got the Green Arrow miniseries, Secrets of the Legion, Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, Superman, the Krypton Chronicles, America versus the Justice Society, which is one of my absolute favorite miniseries, and Legend of Wonder Woman, a whole lot more. Just a really good magazine. So I'm glad I finally got a subscription to this. And this is a book I've been wanting for a while. It came out probably 2008 or so. I can't remember. I guess, or 2006. 2006 or 2008. This is a George Perez storyteller. And it kind of, just an overview of his career from the time he started up till that time that they wrote this. Just all kinds of great Perez art and stories. Just a lot of shows a lot of his early artwork, and just a really great book. I've been wanting this for a while. Yeah, and here's the without the dust jacket. I thought that was pretty cool too. So for fans of George Perez, which I'm a huge one, and I know everybody, this year, I mean, we had some losses with George Perez and Neil Adams, and I really want to do dedicated videos to both those gentlemen. But I just really wanted this book and finally got a copy of it. Okay, on to some comics. It's going to kind of be in and out with comics and books and whatever else. So, knocked a chunk out of my She-Hulk run. Here's number 4. Savage She-Hulk, first series. Originally I only had like 2 issues, but I was lucky that number 1 was one of them. Probably back in the 90s. If you guys ever remember the Comic Buyer's Guide and the guys that advertise in there called J&S Comics from New Jersey, they would sell lots of books all the time. I mean, and that's where I got my original run of New Gods. But they were selling like 20 number 1 issues of Marvel, like for $30, and She-Hulk was in there, Miss Marvel, Spider-Woman, stuff like Human Fly, and just a whole bunch of stuff. But like they were all like near mint shape, so I got lucky on that one. Here's She-Hulk number 5. I might have shown this before in an earlier video, but it was kind of around, so I thought it might have been in this stack. Number 6, starring Iron Man. These all were all like mid-grade defined, so I'm not really worried about them being all near mint. Number 7. And one of my 2 favorite issues of that run, here's number 8, guest starring Man-Thing. And this is still, I'd really like to get a better copy because this has got some corner creases in, but otherwise it's a pretty decent looking book. Okay, here's Captain America. This is probably, I'm not sure, 80s, mid-80s, like 84. But this was a story leading up to him and the Red Skull having it out, and I've got number 300, but I didn't have the issue leading up to it. And I just thought this was a really great story. I love Paul Neary's art, and this is a really cool cover. Haven't been collecting Captain America for a while, but I just I kind of dip my toe in once in a while because as far as Marvel, Captain America, Hulk, Spider-Man, Avengers, stuff like that, I'll dip my toe in once in a while and see what's going on. But I kind of like this era, and I like Paul Neary. Okay, we got some Red Circle comics. The Fly number 1. There are some short-lived titles. It's got a great Steranko cover. And I didn't get in on the X-Men number 1 craze back when Jim Lee did it in the early 90s. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get one just because I like Jim Lee's art. And not a huge X-Men fan, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to have one of those. So here's one of the versions of X-Men number 1 from the early 90s. Here's one that I've been wanting for a while. Tales of Asgard number 1. Seen a lot of guys show this book, and I always wanted to add it to my collection, so I was kind of happy to get this one for a decent price. Jack Kirby at his finest. And we got some Submariner, The Coming of Orca, first appearance of Orca, number 23. This leaves me 1 Submariner issue shy of having the run. I think it's number 32, so I'll probably be trying to add that pretty soon so I can complete that run. Put it by the bedside or, the easy chair or whatever and just start reading from issue 1. That's what I've been trying to do with the series I've been completing. I got the DC Movie Special number 2. This is Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. Just because, I like Star Trek. I did have another Star Trek book with this order, or one of these orders, and it was like Star Trek Annual number 1 from DC. when DC was doing the book, and I really wanted that one, but they were out of stock, so I'll probably get that somewhere else. It was probably just like a buck or two, but I'm glad to have this one. This is one of my favorite Star Trek movies. Okay, added to the Coil collection. Getting close to completing that one. Number 26. Not sure about the art. I think it's Ernie Chan. I don't know who did the inks though. Shmore She-Hulk, number 9. Number 10. So I think I'm maybe 6 issues shy of completing this one now. And I knocked 2 more off of my DC Explosion list. So here is Weird Western Tales number 48. Scalp Hunter and Cinnamon. Something about this era, you know, the 50 cent and 44 pages. Of course, there's something about the 100-page era, and there's something about the 52 pages for a quarter era. You know, anything Bronze Age. And here's the other DC Explosion book, number 110. It's got Mike Grell art, which pretty much got ruined by the Vince Coletta inks, but you know, I know some guys like Vinny, so. And we get a Golden Age, we get an Alan Scott Green Lantern story too, so that was a big deal. Okay, and got another series I'm trying to complete. Chilling Adventures in Sorcery, number 3. Great Gray Morrow. And one I've been wanting for a while, finally found a deal on one. Chilling Adventures of Sorcery, number 1, as told by Sabrina. Now, when I started reading comic books as a kid, I had some older cousins. I got 3 cousins. They're all sisters, and they're all like a year to 2 to 3 years older. But they always had like stacks of Archie comics, and of course I read them. You know, anything that was laying around, I would read it. But I remember seeing this at my aunt and uncle's house, and there was like in a pile of books, and I was like, oh well, this is different. It looks like Archie, but not really. You know, so this is sort of like probably my first foray into like horror. You know, but I remembered this book, and I always wanted a copy, so. Glad to have that one. Okay, some more books. Commandy Challenge. This is one that I did collect when it originally came out, but I was missing a couple issues for some reason. I never did go back and get them, and I got this at like for like less than half price. Commandy Challenge. You know, it's sort of like the DC Challenge, like where an artist-writer team comes in and they leave the ending up with a cliffhanger, and the next guy has to pick it up, and you know the last guy has to like figure out how to end the story. So pretty good. I'm probably halfway through that one. And this next little magazine I'm going to blame on our friend Leo from Time Travel Comics. He showed this in one of the Fossils videos, Cartoonist Profiles. It's got a nice story about Charlton Comics, and I think they're talking to let's see, yeah, there's a really nice article in there. You got Nick Cuddy and George Wildman and writer Joe Gill all in that photograph. And this kind of shows, you know, and anybody that knows about Charlton Comics knows they had the whole process in one big giant warehouse. You know, writers, artists, letters, and then they printed the books themselves, and it went out on this big truck. So that's how we got our Charlton Comics. So really glad to have this in the collection. And here's some more. Show them putting the comics together. And there's a copy of the comic book guide for artist, writer, and letterer. I know Steve, Charlton 66, he's got a copy of the original. I've got a couple copies probably of the reprint, because the original is like really hard to find, and when I have seen it, it's been outrageous. So glad to have that. Got some more pictures of the inner workings of Charlton. It's got a bunch of articles about cartoonists I never had heard about. You know, in different comic strips. I was always a big comic strip fan. Peanuts, you know, Hagar the Horrible, Garfield, BC by Johnny Hards is a favorite. And a lot of cool stuff in here. Articles about different artists and stuff. So, nice little collectible. Thank you, Leo, for making me spend more money. And this was just an impulse buy. I've been wanting to go back and like get the trades because I kind of got in on the Sandman when it first came out, like in '89. You know, the Neil Gaiman version. And when I got divorced, I lost those books. Long, terrible story. Anyway, I want to go back and reread a bunch of those. So this is like book 2, and it reprints. Let's see. This reprints Sandman 17 through 31, Sandman Special, Vertigo Winter's Edge. So lots of nice Sandman stories, and people that have been watching the Sandman TV series, they're adapting a whole lot of this stuff. Got some great art in here. Kelly Jones, Malcolm Jones III, Mike Dringenberg, Mark Buckingham, Charles Vess, Colleen Dorn, Sean McManus, Matt Wagner, Stan Walk, John Bolton, Jeffrey Catherine Jones, just all kinds of great stories and art. So I'm still waiting on book 1, the first trade. I think it's on back order. And last but not least, another book from Tomorrow's, The Life and Art of Dave Cockrum. I think without Dave Cockrum, we wouldn't have the X-Men as we know them today. But it goes through his whole career, you know, from DC and Marvel, and his own stuff with the Futurians and all that stuff. Just a great book. I'm probably about halfway through that one, but kind of showed him like doing. He was great at costume design, and the way he designed the Legion of Superheroes is like the one I fell in love with. There's some John Carter stuff. I think Murphy Anderson did some inks. And, you know, like I say, he did a lot of work for Marvel and DC. He did some Star Trek stuff. Of course, you know, he designed what would become the X-Men as we know today. Storm and Nightcrawler was actually going to be in the Legion of Superheroes. I mean, there were a lot of those characters that he designed, and there was a character called Wolverine, I guess before Wolverine came out maybe. But just, if you like Dave Cockrum, you know, this is a great book. So, alright guys, that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I say, I try to put them up when I can with work and family and band commitments and all that. So, hope you enjoyed. Appreciate any comments. If you like, you know, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe if you like. Hope everybody's having a great week, and we will see you later. Onward and upward.